Couple more weeks till Khabib Gaethje, but we got a couple good ones in the interim. We're talking about Marlon Moraes and Cory Sandhagen right now. What's up, Barnhill family? Welcome back to the channel.
Yo.
So, Nick, I think the guys can all see that we're not in our normal studio. Mm-hmm. We've got a bit of a tan.
Yeah.
We're on a family beach vacation, but we had to bring some content to you guys. And,
that's right.
Yeah, so we have a good fight coming up this weekend, and we're still getting used to these portable mics, so forgive us there. But, yeah, we have Marlon Moraes and Cory Sandhagen. They're going to be squaring off as the main event at UFC Fight Night, all in Abu Dhabi. Second fight on the second installment of the Abu Dhabi Fight Island cards, and this is a good fight. Absolutely.
Great fight. Last weekend's card, in my opinion, if I'm being totally honest, was a little bit light, and it happens when you have such a crazy schedule when they're running like 5 weekends in a row all in Fight Island. It's like, okay, I understand if one card's not quite as good as the next, they can't all top each other. They did, however, start with a banger and will be ending with a banger, but this one's definitely not a card or a main event to sleep on.
Absolutely not. And, yeah, shout out to Holly Holm, 38 years old, still doing the thing. Yeah. She looked good, exactly as I predicted. I said it's going to be 45-50, or sorry, 50-45 or 49-46. And I think all three of them were 50-45, maybe one 49-46.
Yeah, you called that to a T. I predicted a Holly win, but I thought it was going to be a finish. I just felt something about it, but she played a very smart, safe game plan, and there's just levels to this game. Her opponent was one of the girls that is on the radar for a lot of people. They see her as being somebody who's going to be a problem in female fighting for the foreseeable future, but Holly Holm proved that she's definitely still got it, and she's still at the top of the heap for female fighters.
You're going to be there someday, but it's not today.
That's right.
The queen, I guess you could say one of the queens of female MMA, the one that just burst onto the radar with that knockout of Ronda Rousey, has shown some longevity and some staying power.
Yeah.
And who knows, if Amanda Nunes retires, we could see Holly Holm right back in there for another title shot.
Yeah, one of the discussions a lot of people in MMA like to have is who's on the UFC or the MMA's Mount Rushmore. And I think that topic is so hard. You can't really put four faces of MMA. I could, but we'd be leaving a lot of people out.
Right.
And I'm not even talking about MMA. That's UFC alone. Female fighting, though, is a little bit easier because it's a smaller pool to choose from.
Yep.
And, when you go back and look at Holly's career, I think she probably claims one of those spots. I mean, it's definitely up for debate. You've got your Rondas, you've got your Amanda Nunes's, maybe you've got your Cyborgs. I think Valentina Shevchenko's kind of earned her spot.
No
Joanna,
question.
But Holly Holm's right there.
Yeah, she's definitely there. And, with almost 40 years old, to demonstrate 5-round domination of a young prospect, that's pretty impressive.
Absolutely, yeah. I was very, very impressed with her. And with the card being a little bit light, like we were saying, the main event did deliver. I mean, the first few rounds were pretty entertaining, and then we kind of realized what was going to happen. You saw the writing on the wall come round 3.
Yeah,
that she was going to finish this fight exactly how she planned.
Exactly. And getting into the Magic Man, Marlon Moraes, he's trying to make his crawl back up to title contention after suffering that loss to Henry Cejudo,
which is weird because he beat Jose Aldo, the guy that got the guy that got the title shot. A lot of people did think that Jose edged that one out, but the judges, the ones whose opinion matters, they didn't see it that way. And Marlon Moraes is absolutely at the top of the heap. I mean, he was for sure beating Henry Cejudo at the beginning of the fight. I think the story is Marlon Moraes carries too much muscle. He has it requires a lot of oxygen to fuel those muscles up into the later rounds. He seems to be a main event fighter these days, which means 5 rounds. And I think the code towards beating him is taking him into the deeper water when he doesn't have as much energy.
Absolutely. And I think that Henry Cejudo loss said as much about potentially his fading as the fight goes on as it did about Henry Cejudo's ability to adapt and change as a fighter in real time in between rounds because he got dominated that first round. And then I was like, man, this is going to be really bad for Henry. He shouldn't have bumped up. This might be more than he might have bit off more than he can chew.
I thought the same thing.
And then he came out and just dominated him and finished him in the second round. So, and then you heard Moraes' corner yelling for, I think, I can't remember exactly. It's been a while now, but like, do it for your family. Think about your kids. Like when you're a coach and you're telling a fighter in a title contention, when you're telling a champion rather in a title fight, think about your kids. You're like pulling out the, you've gone plan A, B, C, D, E, F, and G are out the window, and we're rolling with plan F now.
Right.
Like that's what. Or that H. H. There we go.
He doesn't know his alphabet all the way through. But
I'm gonna get grilled for that one in the comments.
Roast that.
But Cory Sandhagen, I mean, he was one of these guys that they were touting as a serious up and comer. He's going to fight for a title next. He's long. He's skilled. He's got the gas tank. He's got all the skills. He's one of those guys you call like a mixed martial artist. He's good in the grappling. He's good in the clinch. He's got good defensive takedowns if he doesn't want to be taken down. He's got good striking. He's rangy.
Sort of an Edmund Shabazian type or a Roy McDonald type.
That school, but he was set back a bit, and so now he's going to try to get his name back into the mix after that loss to Aljamain Sterling.
Right. Well, that's a tough night out for him to get Marlon Moraes handed to him.
A guy, by the way, that head kick knocked out Aljamain Sterling. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, before Marlon Moraes fought Henry Cejudo, I thought he was the best 135er on the planet. And I would still...
Looks like a 185er.
Yeah, he's huge. But I would venture to say that he's the best first-round fighter on the UFC's roster. I don't know of anybody that's ever beaten him in the first round. Usually he gets people out, and at 135, when you're knocking people out in the first round, that means you've got some serious power. A couple of the dogs, Jose Aldo, obviously a dog, Henry Cejudo, a dog, were able to get out, and they were able to handle Hurricane Marlon and actually ended up winning those fights. But Marlon Moraes, if this fight ends early, all of my money is on Marlon Moraes getting the victory early on. Sandhagen, in my opinion, they kind of blasted him up into the top 5 realm a little bit too fast. Not saying they should have done a slow burn with him because he is a very skilled fighter, but I think they could have maybe marketed him a little bit more. I feel like nobody really knew who he was. So then when you see him in there with Aljamain Sterling and Marlon Moraes, you're like, does this guy even stand a chance? And I want people that don't know and that are casuals to know that, yes, he does stand a chance. He is a bad dude and he belongs with the top. But I feel like maybe they're rushing him a little bit. I think
you said it right when you threw him in there with Shabazian. I think that their sort of plan that the UFC laid out for them was very similar.
Yeah.
Young, good all around, could be a champ that grabs the belt at a young age and holds it for a while. Maybe the UFC is looking for their next sort of John Jones type of character.
Right.
And they thought that, it would be, they had a lot to prove before they could say that they're, the next John, but they saw at least that potential in them to give them a chance and give them a quick escalation. And you see, it's not easy to be at the top, and it's even harder to stay at the top.
Yeah, so. and it's always marketable when you have a very, very young champion. And so, it's like the Sean O'Malley thing. They're like, okay, let's do a slow burn with Sean because he's already marketable. Right. We don't have to market him as a champion. We can market him as the fighter he is. He's already one. It's weird. Usually if you're quote unquote bigger than the sport, and I'm not willing to say that Sean O'Malley is, but he is must-see TV for a lot of people that don't generally watch MMA fighting.
Right.
So Conor McGregor, bigger than the sport. George Masvidal, bigger than the sport. Nate Diaz, those guys. Usually you've been to the top, maybe even carried a belt at some point or a BMF belt or something like that, and then your later fights are happening and they're bigger and you don't need to be in a title fight for it to be a main event. Sean's already there, Right. I think maybe Sandhagen needs a little bit more of a boost before he gets blasted. Right.
There's those guys that, like you said, they're stars whether or not they have the belt.
Yeah.
And that's the Conor McGregor. If he's fighting, you're tuning in whether it's a title fight or not. Nate Diaz, Masvidal, all the usual suspects. And, but for somebody, for example, like Henry Cejudo, it wasn't the case in his early career. Henry Cejudo was just this guy, and he was a contender, and he was an Olympian, and he had a story, but Henry wasn't really moving the needle until he grabbed that belt and then assumed this crazy persona.
Right.
And so there's certain people that, like Sean, that are marketable, and people are going to watch them whether or not it's for a title shot or whether or not it's, for a number one contender shot or what have you. But Sandhagen and Marlon, those guys kind of need a belt to go with their name to kind of wrap that package up and promote them a bit.
For sure.
This is kind of a pick'em fight. We see them.
Is that how they have it?
Yeah, well, I think Marlon is a plus 150 and Sandhagen is a minus 125. So it's not exactly a pick'em. Marlon is a slight underdog, which actually kind of surprised me, to be honest.
That blows me away. I would, if it was anything closer to 200, I would say go put your money on Marlon because I mean we can jump right into predictions now if you want to.
Yeah, let's do it.
I got Marlon Moraes winning this fight. I think it's going to come down to experience, power, and just versatility. Sandhagen's a great fighter, but we saw some holes in his competition with the Aljo, and the way Aljamain's throwing was able to just implement that jiu-jitsu, and get right and do exactly what he wanted when he wanted as quickly as he wanted. You're going to see. I'm sure Marlon Moraes has been watching the tape, and he knows a thing or two about fighting on the ground and submissions and stuff like that. And I would venture to say he might be the one, if not the best, strikers in the 135 division, which is saying a lot because all those guys down there can throw really well. Yeah,
it's hard to pick against him. He's good everywhere. He's strong. Yeah. I guess if you want to pick him apart a little bit, you could say his cardio is not that good. Maybe he doesn't dig deep in later rounds, but hell, half the time he doesn't need to go to the later rounds.
Right.
So, I think I'm going to go with Marlon here as well. And that's not to say that I don't think that Sandhagen might not still be a champion someday. He very well may be.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at their record, Sandhagen is 12-2. He's only had 14 fights. Marlon, much more experienced. Been in there with Jose Aldo. Been in there with Henry Cejudo. Head kick knocked out Aljo. I mean, all the usual suspects and all the top contenders at 135. Currently, he's been in there with.
Right.
And he's very explosive. He's got crazy head kick knockout power. He's got crazy punching knockout power. He's a big, strong Brazilian, so you don't even have to. It goes without saying that he's good at grappling.
Yeah. And in my opinion, should have been fighting for that last title that was open for the 135 division, the vacant one that Henry Cejudo left. Things happened and Jose Aldo got the call, but he beat Jose Aldo in that number one contenders matchup. So And before that, the body of work that he did at 135 was obviously extensive.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for those reasons, I'm going with Marlon as well. And because I'm picking Marlon, I'm picking Marlon to win in Marlon fashion, which is a second round knockout.
That's pretty
TKO
good.
Second round.
That's pretty good. Yeah. I'll go. I think he's going to play a little bit safer. I think we're going to see a unanimous decision. I think he's
wow.
It's hard to say because, like I said, he does fade a little bit in the end.
But can he do? But if he does enough in the early rounds, can he
coast?
Can he win the first 3 rounds and then?
You know what I think? I'm going to go round 4 TKO.
Round 4 TKO. Okay, wow.
And if it's a 3-round fight for whatever reason, then I'll go round 3 TKO. But I'm pretty sure it's a 5.
No, it's a 5.
Okay.
I think it's a 5er. Yeah,
okay, 5 round. Round 4.
And so that begs the question then, if he does win, like both of us are now predicting, does he get the immediate next title shot at 135 after the smoke clears with Aljo and all of that?
I feel like it's only fair.
Yeah,
that's really only fair. I mean, who else is there for him to fight up there? He's already run through everybody else at the top of the heap. Maybe they could reintroduce TJ Dillashaw back into the division with a fight, which would be a 135 number one contenders matchup. But I think they might, because TJ's been in timeout and for obvious reasons, they might make him do a little heavy lifting before he gets a contenders fight.
Well, that's kind of the interesting thing, right? Because TJ, come January, the 135 division, just with that one little ingredient added to the pie. Oh yeah, TJ Dillashaw back in the mix, it changes everything.
And if you remember a couple minutes ago, I said Marlon Moraes is the best striker in the 135 division, if not one, then the next. That's who I was referring to as the best.
Yeah. So that would be interesting. And boy, sign me up for TJ Dillashaw versus Marlon Moraes.
Yeah.
talk about an explosive. You're talking about traditional Muay Thai against Bang Muay Thai.
Yeah.
And what you're seeing is kind of a clash of the old and the new school of Muay Thai.
Yeah.
You're seeing a lot of ground being covered and weird exchange initiation, starting with hooks and kicks and things like that. You see out of TJ. Marlon's a little bit more straightforward with his Muay Thai, a little bit kind of walk you down, start with a jab, jab, hook, kick, leg kick, sort of style. The
traditional cadence.
Yeah, the traditional cadence. That's the word I was looking for, cadence of Muay Thai. And so that would be an incredible, like almost old school versus new school competition there between him and TJ. Even though TJ's an old school fighter, his Muay Thai style is very
next
new
level,
school.
New generation.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Super excited for it.
For sure. Well, guys, let us know in the comments. What do you think? Who wins this fight? Does the young Sandhagen get back on track and get himself back in the title mix, or does the Magic Man pull a rabbit out of his hat?
Once again. All right, y'all. Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching, guys. And as always, like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.